Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jason Hall with Ride Detroit. I just wanted to have a quick little intimate conversation with you about how you can save money riding an e-bike. Okay, I just want to talk about a couple of quick things and then a couple of quick things for you to put into your head to compute. And I'm not going to get into that because you know how much I hate math. But let's get into like the first real benefit. There's obviously health. A lot of people get into this to feel better for whatever reason, maybe to lose weight, maybe to work out some creaks that they've had going on in their system. So there's the obvious health benefits, I being one of them. At one time in my life, I actually weighed 240 pounds. People don't believe that. But I used to weigh 240 pounds. I used to be one of those guys who worked out all the time at the gym. And I decided I wanted to make a change. And so I started riding a bike pretty religiously. But let's get into kind of what people don't really think about. Well, I think actually now these days they think about it a little bit more because every single day I turn on the TV, everybody's talking about gas prices. I joked with Anthony earlier today that for the first time I felt like a real American yesterday because on my way somewhere I had to stop and get gas and it was $80 to fill my tank up. And I don't even drive like a large car and I wasn't getting premium. So you're talking 80 bucks, which really at that time, and I didn't think about it, how it cut into my groceries. Then I was going grocery shopping and I had to buy less groceries because I spent more money on gas. So now I think the conversation of alternative transportation and how you can save money via gas is a real thing. So let's get into kind of two things that you need to consider. The types of vehicle costs, okay? One is operating costs and one is ownership costs. So let's get into what operating costs are. Operating costs are obviously the cost of gas. We're looking at $80 minimum for me to fill up on a tank of gas. These days I'm probably going through 2 of those a week, unfortunately, with trips and things like that and delivering things. So if I do that math, imagine what that adds up to. So in your head right now, write down mentally what you spend on gas. The next thing is maintenance. And that's the thing I hate most about anything. Like, you pay all this money for this car and you expect that to be kind of it for a second, other than gas and like windshield washer fluid. But then you forget tune-ups, oil changes, and all that madness. Do that math, take your little notepad down, and write down your maintenance. Next would be repair and tires, okay? And the reason I say repair is different than maintenance is you don't think about that. That's just the upkeep of the vehicle. That's just keeping it running. But then what if you get a cracked windshield? Or what if a rock pops into your radiator? And I'm saying these once again because you guessed it, I experienced all these in my life. And never do you think that you're gonna have to replace a windshield multiple times. But the roads and things that spit off of trucks nowadays, you're looking at that happening multiple times over the life of a car if you're the type of person that fixes it. Then let's talk about you run over a nail. So you can actually chalk tires up in maintenance and in repair. So you can double that up. Once again, now you've got your pad out and you're adding all your stuff up. So that's just what we're talking about. That's just your operating cost. Now let's talk about the cost of owning the vehicle. Most people have a car note, unless you're a super baller like Anthony and you can walk in and pay, $1 million for your Ferrari right off the lot. I can't do that, okay? I have a car payment, okay? On top of that car payment, I have an insurance payment. And I can tell you right now, I wasn't the smartest, best driver, so my insurance is almost as much as my car, okay? And I live in the state of Michigan, and I live where I live in the city of Detroit. So add all those factors in. Now, you're talking about license, registration. Once again, yearly costs that you have to pay to keep this car going. One car, okay? Then we're gonna talk about the taxes. So when you buy this car, talk about how much you're paying in taxes over the life of that car that gets rolled into your payment and everything else, all right? Then you're talking about finance charges. You forget that beautiful thing too. You think when you walk into a dealership and you say, oh, I need to finance this car, that they say, well, it's gonna be this much money and there's not a finance charge attached to that. Come on. We've given you not even a laundry list of factors, but a realistic list of things that you concur on a regular basis while owning a vehicle. Now let's just flip that for a second and talk about an e-bike, all right? So what's the cost of fuel on an e-bike? That'd be Fairly nothing if you're talking about gas, but we'll get into electricity in a second, okay? Then we're talking about maintenance. Okay, I ride my bike a lot, so I'll probably get my bike tuned up 2 or 3 times a year. I work in a bike shop. I'm friends with the guy who does that stuff. Okay, we're not talking about just a cable tighten up here and there. Okay, we're talking about a full tune-up, which I probably wouldn't do 3 times a year. I would, once again, get that tune-up and then tinker with everything else. Repair and tires. Very little repair goes into these bikes. They are being built in such a way that the technology meets the expectation. We're gonna run into some tire maintenance. Once again, we do live in major cities, but we have things that we can do to help with that. We're talking about tire liners. Cars don't come with tire liners. So we can get you a set of tire liners that will help you with the longevity of that. But once again, just for the sake of it, go ahead and add that cost in, the ownership costs, okay? Once I buy the bike, it's mine. So once again, I'm not, unless you finance, I will keep it extra real with you because that's what I do here. There are types of ways that you can finance, but as far as I know, as long as you make your payments on time, you don't incur any interest until you go over a certain period of time. So once again, that's minimal in comparison to an automobile. Now we're talking license and registration. I don't have to ride an e-bike if it's under 28 miles an hour. That's the legal limit. As far as registration, when I buy my bike, generally I register it through the shop, so there's no registration there. I could go and register my bike with the university here and get it in their system, so if it got stolen, that they'd be able to find it, but that's free. I could register my bike with the city. I think that might be $5. So once again, go ahead and put that on your list. Taxes, you pay that on the bike, but once you pay those taxes, you're done. Finance charge, you're not really looking at that, once again, unless you go over. All right, so now we've talked about adding up one, and we've talked about adding up another list. Wrap your minds around this. I read a statistic that said that the total cost that it should cost you, and this is a person who rides their e-bike regularly, to power an e-bike for an entire year is $10. Okay, $10. That's, wait a minute, I can't even wrap my mind around $10 worth of gas. $10 worth of gas would probably get me to the corner and back, okay? I'd have to finance something else to get further, all right? So I don't have to sit here and pull out my list and say this is exactly what was spent, but we can be logical and you can say that reasonably the list of e-bike costs, added up maybe $4,000. The average cost of a car these days, $40,000. I didn't even know that the other day. That's just proof that I won't be buying a new car anytime soon. The average cost of an electric vehicle is even higher than that, all right? So there is no comparison when we're talking about why you would buy an e-bike as opposed to why you're buying a car. And okay, so I live in Michigan. I'm gonna get this out of the way right now. Everybody's gonna say, well, what do you do in the winter, when I have to do? Look, e-bikes can be ridden all year round, okay? Yeah, there's gonna be days that it might be snowier than others, but that's why it's called alternative transportation, and you work that into your system, your ecosystem of bicycling. Now, before I go, I will talk, because I would be remiss if I didn't talk at all about the potential for the e-bike act tax coming out, all right? So if the e-bike tax act were signed into law, that would give people a tax credit of up to 30% of the cost of up to an $8,000 bike. So you're looking at potentially getting $1,500 back on your taxes if this act passes towards an e-bike. Once again, we keep it real here, like Wendy Williams. We keep it real. There is a cost to owning these things, but $1,500 off is a huge chunk of change that can get chipped off the cost of that. And believe you me, I'm pretty sure that's gonna pass. There's no reason why we wouldn't have it. There's been already other taxes on other tax breaks on other alternative, even cars. So I just wanted to have a conversation with you guys just to talk about my opinion on why you would consider buying an e-bike, because I hear it every single day. People come in the door and they say, what, $2,000 for an e-bike? That's as much as a car. Which we laugh and we say, I don't know what car you're getting for $2,000. If you are, show me. But that's a whole nother YouTube issue that I'll leave for another YouTube person. So with that being said, I hope that gave you the information you were looking for. As usual, I'm Jason Hall with Ride Detroit. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next week.